Okay, now let's begin with the creme anglaise. For this we're going to need 250 milliliters of milk. We're going to need 250 milliliters of heavy cream. This is going to be like this. Okay. Now, we're going to add the sugar, and we are going to be removing this until the sugar is totally melted. Okay. Now, this is the preparation, as I told you, of the creme anglaise. I guess that when you finish this part, you're going to have a better French than me. So we're going to be moving this until it starts boil. Okay. So see you in a couple of minutes. Before it boils up, I was forgetting a very important part, that is adding one teaspoon of vanilla. That is going to add a little bit more flavor to this preparation. And now, when it starts to have a little boil, we're going to take it away from the fire and we're going to make a temperation. We're going to add a part of this milk with the egg yolks we have here, and we're going to start moving it with the whisker. Okay, just a part to make the tempering. We're going to remove it very well. Okay, remove it very well. And after this, we're going to put it back in this mixer. Okay. We're going to turn out the fire, and we're going to add the egg yolks with the hot milk. We're going to start moving it, and then we're going to take it just to the nappe point. Okay, remember that the nappe point is around 82 to 85 degrees Celsius. Okay, so I'm gonna turn on again the stove, and we're gonna wait around 1 or 2 minutes until we have this nappe point. Something really important you have to take in count is that when you're doing these kind of preparations, so many times the stoves are not going to be very well calibrated. So as you can see, in some parts we have a little brown color in the walls, but this is something that we can't avoid, but so many times we can take care of this to don't have a bad result in the preparation. But now, as you can see, the texture of this sauce is getting a little bit tight, a little bit tighter, and I guess that in a couple more minutes this is going to be ready to the cold water. Okay, now when we have this point, we can make some kind of test for this, because you need to see that all the sauce is dripping in a very straight way. So another way that you can see that this is already is when you drown a spoon right here, and you pass the finger. When you pass the finger, all the way of the finger should be marked and not dripping in any part. When you have this, that it doesn't drip for around 3 seconds, this it's done. Okay, another test where you can see. You do this and pass the finger, and it doesn't drip in all the line all the way of the finger. So this is ready done. Now we're gonna take it away from the fire, and we're gonna put it in a cold bath to stop the cooking. Now here we're ready to put this. Okay. Now that we are here, we're going to put the sauce in a cold water. This is going to allow that the sauce gets colder, and we are going to avoid that it gets splitted with the heat. Remember that we need to avoid that the egg yolks arrive until 90 degrees Celsius. Okay, and this cold water with ice is going to help us to stabilize the heat and avoid the splitting. Okay, now we continue with the chocolate cocoa sauce. And for this we're going to use only 4 ingredients. Those ingredients are 250 milliliters of water, 50 grams of alkaline cocoa, 50 grams of all-purpose sugar, okay, and 2 grams of cardamom. But actually, this sauce can be summarized with, could be vanilla, could be cardamom, could be cinnamon, and even pepper. And a wide variety of uses in the pastry, not only in the kitchen, just could be used in the pastry, the bakery, in many areas. And so in this sauce we can make pepper chocolate sauce. Okay. Well, when we have all those ingredients in the pot, we're going to start removing with the help of a whisker. What is going to make this mixture tight? It's the cocoa, because the cocoa is some kind of dust, and when it gets heated, it starts to get tighter every time. So the only thing we need to do is to keep whipping, keep beating this mixture until we have a tighter consistency. So see you around in 2 minutes for this. Well, we have been beating this mixture for around, I guess, 1.5 minutes, and as you see, it starts to boil. When we have this boiling, this mixture is already done. This is really faster, it doesn't take more than 5 minutes to do this, including the mise en place. Okay, so this is done. Okay, after we take it away from the heat, we're going to use again the cold water to cut cooking, and it gets colder a little bit faster. Okay. Now we're going to make caramel sauce. For this, we're going to make a dried caramel, with sugar. We're going to add it here, and as you can see, this pot was empty. Now it only has sugar, so we're going to have to wait until it starts melting with the heat. And by the way, in this pot, I'm heating heavy cream. Okay, we have to heat both pots at the same time for when we combine them. Avoid that the heavy cream starts boiling so much with the heat of the caramel, and it starts getting out from the pot. Okay, we're gonna be moving the sugar to prevent of not burning it in any part. So we're gonna let it here with a lower fire you can have, because it's a really small amount of sugar, and from time to time we're gonna be moving it to avoid the burning. Now that the sugar is getting to this point, we're going to add the glucose to this mixture, and we're going to remove it for it to get very well mixed. Okay. When we have the caramel to this color and the heavy cream is starting to boil, we're going to mix it in just one pot. Okay. And after we mix it, we're going to start moving it with the help of this spatula. Okay. This is now boiling too much, because as you know, the caramel has a temperature around 159 degrees, and the boiling point of the heavy cream is just 100. So this is boiling too much, because the caramel is 1.5 of the temperature above the temperature that it's the boiling point of the heavy cream. So when the temperature starts to stabilizing, this is going to be a little just more calmed down, and with the color a little bit more accentuated, like you can see right now. Okay. So we keep moving it, and in the end we are going to add just a pinch of salt, to have an extra salty flavor in it. Need to add a little bit more. And we're going to keep moving it until this mixture is already done. Okay, now after being beaten around 2 or 3 minutes, we turn it off, turn the fire off, and we have this consistency and this color. Okay, this is the color we're looking for and the consistency. Okay, now we're gonna take it to the cold water. After around 2 minutes of being beaten this preparation, we have this texture and we have this color. Okay, this is exactly what we're looking for. Now after this, we're going to take it to the cold water to cut the cooking and to get it in a lower temperature. Now the next recipe is going to be on red fruit coulis, and for this we have to add the glucose on the pot. Okay, to add the glucose on the pot, and when we add the glucose on the pot, we are going to add the icing sugar. This has to be previously sifted, and after that we're going to be removing it with the help of a spatula. And we have to remove it until it's very well mixed. Okay, in case that it doesn't start to mix very well, we are going to add in this moment the water that the recipe requests. So I'm going to add the water, a part of the water, and we're going to start to remove it until it's very well mixed. When this mixture is starting to boil, we're going to add the red fruits and a little bit more of water. Sometimes the recipes doesn't take all the water it has. We have to check the consistency that we're wanting, and we're going to reserve a little bit more of water for the end. Okay, now we're going to start moving this, and we're going to start pushing those fruits to get a smoother consistency. So we're going to do this for around 5 to 6 minutes. See you until then. Now that this has been boiling for around 5 to 6 minutes, we're going to turn it off, and we're going to take it away from the fire, and we're going to sift it. Okay, we're going to sift it to take away all the seeds that the red fruit could have. See you in a minute. Now we have here the sifter with the bowl, and we're going to pour the mixture on the sifter. And with the help of this kitchen spoon, we are going to sift this mixture, trying to take away all the seeds that it could have. Take away all the excess that is sticked in the other side of the sifter. Now here we have red fruit coulis. Now what I have to do is to put it again in the cold bath. Now we put it into the cold water to rest until it's cold. Okay, now let's begin with the churros recipe. For this, we're going to start putting the water in a hot pot. We're going to add the salt, and we're going to add the oil. And we're going to wait until this boils with very big bubbles. Now that the water is boiling, we're going to add the flour previously sifted, and we're going to remove it with the help of 1 spoon. If you have a wooden spoon at home, will be very fine. Now we're going to be moving it until we have only 1 dough. Okay, we have to move it strongly because this is going to start getting hard. Okay, so I'm gonna lower down a little bit the fire. Okay, lower down a little bit the fire, and after that we keep moving it until we have just 1 whole portion of dough. After being moving around for 3 or 4 minutes, we're gonna stop the fire. I'm gonna take it away from the stove. After we take it away from the fire, we're going to place it in the table. And we're going to start working it with our hands, trying to make all the clumps disappear. Okay, so we're going to handle it for a while, around 2 or 3 minutes. So you gotta take care at this point because dough may be a little bit hot. So just take care of don't get burned with your hands. I'm gonna stand a little bit. It's like if we're working a bakery dough, something like that. So we have to extend it and then decontract it. Extend it and decontract it. Okay. Now that we have a dough with no crumbs like this, we're gonna let it rest in a bowl. And we're gonna extend it for it gets colder a little bit more faster. And after this gets cold, we're gonna add the 2 eggs. Now, when the churros dough is already done, we're going to put it into the mixer and we're going to add the eggs. Okay, and we're going to beat it until it's homogeneous mixture. Well, if the machine starts to have some problems in the moment of processing this mixture, we can turn it off and we can finish it by hand. Now we're gonna finish it by hand. We have to make sure that all of the ingredients are really very well mixed and the mixture is homogeneous. Okay, now when the mixture is already done, we're gonna take it and we're gonna fill the pastry piping back. Okay, for this we're gonna make sure that we don't have any kind of air bubble inside, and we have to push very well all the mixture that it's going to be inside of this. You have to put a little bit of pressure for this, and we're going to start squeezing to make the traditional churros. Now what we're doing is that we're placing a little part of the dough of the bottom of the tray, or try to stick the paper, the wax paper, and avoid that it's moving when you're serving churros. Now that we have here, we're gonna start squeezing the piping back, and we're going to take away the churros from there. And I think that we're going to let it from this size. Okay, once we have squeezed all the mixture through the piping pack, we have this presentation. As you can see, if we take one of those, you're gonna see that it has a little hard texture, but it's gonna be helpful in the moment when you're gonna fry them. So the next step is to put it on the frying pan in the oil. Well, now, before we pour the churros on the frying pan with the oil, we have to drown a little piece of the dough before to check the temperature, the right temperature, and when it reaches the right color, it's when we're going to start putting the churros on the pan. So we're going to wait around 4 to 5 minutes until the oil is in the right temperature for start frying all the churros from the tray. Okay, now when we have this color and this piece of dough that we put in the beginning, the oil is ready to receive around 4 or 5 pieces of churros. Remember, you don't have to saturate the pan because the oil is going to get cold. Remember, while the oil is colder, the churros are going to absorb much more fat than what we need. So it's really important to keep the oil in 160 to 170 degrees for you have a better result. We're going to put the churros in the edge of the pan, and in that way we're going to avoid burning us with the oil. Well, once we have the churros out of the oil, we have something like this. Okay, well, the next step is to take the churros and put them into the sugar. We have here a mixture of sugar and cinnamon. So what we do is that we put it into the bowl and we start shaking a little bit for they start getting covered with the sugar and this cinnamon. After we pass all those churros through the sugar and cinnamon, they have to look something like this. Okay, now we are ready to put them in the dish. Okay, but before we put them in the dish, I'm going to show you all the sauce that we made. The first one we made is this one. This is the Creme Anglaise. Okay, as you can see, it has a very tight
texture naturally. Okay. The next one was the cocoa sauce. This is the result and the texture that has in the end. The third sauce was the caramel sauce. Okay. And the next one is the red fruit coulis. Okay. So now let's put those churros in the dish. We're going to use this one to present, and we are going to put here around 6 or 7 pieces. There we go. And the sauce we're going to be using are the creme anglaise and the cocoa sauce. For this presentation, what we're going to do is to put on the cup half and half. So we're going to use half of the anglaise and half of the chocolate. Now for this part, we are going to clean a little bit this area, and we're going to set this on the churros in this part. And here we have the presentation of the Mexican churros with creme anglaise and chocolate cocoa sauce.